Good morning everybody, welcome back to a Chart Nerd technical analysis video. Today we will be discussing the likes of GALA Games on its weekly time frame, looking at some chart patterns and what potentially could be coming next. So I hope you enjoyed the content and let's dive into the chart. Now, analyzing GALA here on the weekly time frame, it did have this very strong level of descending resistance on its head since its prior November 2021 highs. So you can see we came back up into this resistance as in March as of this year, and then we came right back down to this sort of key support zone, you could say, for some sort of triple bottom. You could even class this really and truly as a potential inverse head and shoulders, where you've sort of got this neckline right here of resistance in regards to where GALA's actually ran into right now. So you can see this high of January 2023 around these highs of this year on our descending resistance, and then once again we've ran into a very similar level here in December. So this isn't an unfamiliar price territory for GALA or an unfamiliar area to meet resistance around the 0.06 mark, and that line's not even on there straight, but you get the gist. You can see that around here is a strong level of resistance, and down here is where your strong level of support is. So you can tell that over the past sort of 2 to 3 years, when you're down in these areas, they've normally offered some quite fruitful opportunities. And again, you could see this as some sort of triple bottom, or this is a left shoulder, this is a head right here, and then you've got this large right shoulder. And I think that what this is really and truly overall is just an accumulation zone for GALA in this sort of territory. And I think there's a lot of projects that have been going through a similar sort of path for the past couple of years. If you look at Telcoin on the chart, it had something very, very similar where it eventually led to a massive impulsive breakout, and there's a lot of other charts that are showing very similar accumulation phases. So I think that it's just going through its accumulation phase, but it has made some very good progress, I think, since I last covered it. And this descending resistance that we're looking at here has actually been reclaimed. So we've broken a very strong level of resistance from over the past, since 2021, in fact, should I say. So this is a very, very good sign here for GALA. It's what we wanted to see, and it's been a very fruitful sort of 4 to 5 weeks. Again, along with the rest of the market, GALA hasn't fallen behind and has kept up the pace. Now, albeit considered, as I showed you earlier, we have run into sort of an area of resistance that it's very common to meet as a resistance. But I think this is at the moment the start here for GALA for potentially looking to continue its move on to moves up, to higher targets. Now, do I think that the all-time high could be met this cycle? I think it's a very high possibility, and this is my conservative target back to the all-time high. But for us at Max Euphoria, you can see I've got a target up here at a $2.64 GALA at a fib extension. Now, again, these targets do not have to get met, and there are levels of resistance above that GALA would need to reclaim. So if I can get those on the charts right now, we've got the 0.50 and the 0.618 above. So I think right now where GALA is trying to get to is potentially to 10 cents. And I think on this journey we do have levels of support and resistance above, but what you'll notice is from our current local low of August, where we actually came back to a higher low, and then started this impulsive move where we broke this descending level of resistance. So from this August low, retracing back up to this March high on descending resistance, you can see, as I've said, we've broken through a very strong level of descending resistance over the past 2 years, and we've also reclaimed the 0.50 and 0.618 fib. I'm going to get this one off for now. We've also reclaimed the 0.50 and 0.618 on the retracement back to this high, which is a very good sign here. And you can see that we've got a wick back to it as of recent on support. Now this wick this week has also back tested the trend line that we've broken out of resistance. So what I'm trying to say is we've had the breakout, and now we've had a retest on the trend line back on previous resistance on the 0.618 at 0.04. Is that all it needs to hold support here and then start pushing higher onto higher targets back to this 1 fib and maybe up to 14 cents if we get the breakout from this high? If this high gets cleared, I think the next step for GALA could potentially be towards 14 cents in the short term. But again, albeit considered, it just matters about taking out this high to validate this short-term target. But yeah, as I'm saying, we've taken out key levels on the fibs. If I get the 20 EMA on the weekly time frame here, you can see that sits below the price at the moment. So when you're above these EMAs, it normally indicates quite a good trend. So you can see that in the past, it got back above the EMAs, came back to hold it here, went in for another rally, but met descending resistance. Okay, so at this point, it had some sort of A, B, C correction back down to key support. And right now, I think that what's going on is this is a potential 1, this is a 2, this is a 3. Right now, this is a 4 back to support, and then looking for that final 5th wave back up to this local high of March 2024. So I think we're trying to get back to this March high. We have, as I keep saying, broken this descending resistance. Great signs. We've got the 20-week EMA below on previous levels of resistance on the golden ratio fibs. So could this sort of tie up? If this EMA keeps creeping up here and GALA over the next couple of weeks potentially comes back down for a retest, could we hold the 20 EMA and float on this sort of descending resistance for a couple of weeks that we've broken out of before getting the next leg up? I think this is the case here. I think right now what the market's doing is just going through some sort of consolidation phase, but a lot of coins have broken out of key resistance and look to want to push on to higher targets. So again, I think in the short term, it's a retracement back to this local high for GALA, and then if that gets broken, I think 14 cents could come pretty quickly, and there is some sort of confluence at 14 cents because it ties up right with, if you look over where I've got this line now, trend line, it ties up with this previous high from, ties up with the previous high from back in September of 2021, this wick high here, and it's very close to this previous level of support. So I think 14 cents could come quite quickly if this May 2024 high is taken out. Now, if we are to pull back any further, where could our support targets be? Well, it's simply to find out if we do get a bit of a further drop, we go from our local high back down to the local low of August, where we've came from. So you can see that how this move worked is we had this low, we then ran up into resistance at the 0618 at 0.025, came back for a higher low, and this here was a double bottom. So you've got some sort of low, resistance, higher low, breakout, and that breakout has led to this impulsive move, right? So if we are to come back for a key level of support and we do see GALA and the rest of the market over the next sort of few weeks pull back to a key level, something that sticks out to me like a sore thumb straight away is this area here, okay? Because this was a previous level of resistance where we formed that double bottom. We've now broken out. If we get a pullback over the next 4 to 5 weeks, look for that as support and then the breakout. But again, as I'm saying, I think there's a lot of bullish sentiment and a lot of bullish signs in the market right now. But again, we have to be prepared for every scenario. So I think this double bottom neckline, okay, the neckline of this double bottom could act as a key level of support if it comes down to it, and then get this spring back out again. Now, again, it doesn't have to happen, but these are my support targets. If we come back on the weekly time frame over the next couple of weeks for a bit more of a deeper retracement, you've got 0.03 to 0.025, and I think that from here would be about a 46% pullback. Now, again, albeit considered, the last times we've up in these resistance areas where we are very similar to now, you can see that, you know, these sort of last corrections were even larger. We were looking at a 79% correction the last time we ran into this in 2023, and then of March 2024 we actually came back for an 83% correction. So this time, third time lucky, let's hope this is different and we can only come back for a level of support for around maybe a 40 to 50% correction before continuing the trend. Now, again, I'm saying this doesn't have to happen, but again, we need to monitor the markets, and if we do take a darker turn over the next couple of weeks after sort of this really nice move, then I think this sort of area is very interesting. Now, again, as I said, this doesn't have to play out, but it is something we need to monitor on the weekly time frame if we do have a rocky couple of weeks and see some, you know, because if you get right here in the space of this was a 5-week period and we had a 61% crash. What's not to say after pumping from these lows in August around 280% that this thing can't from this high have a 50% crash back down to the 050. It's a possibility. So that's something to keep in mind, guys. The last sort of 2 times we was up at this resistance level, we have come back for major corrections. Now, again, I'm not saying it has to happen, but you've got the double bottom right here. You've got the golden ratio for support. And if we do get quite a steep few weeks, I think it will just be swept up within recovery leading into Q1 of 2025. So overall, guys, they're my key support targets on the weekly. If we do lose macro support, that hasn't happened yet. I'm just giving you as a heads up sort of thing, and I'm gonna go through this really quickly. Now, again, as I'm saying, once 10 to 16 cents is reclaimed, which I think it will get reclaimed eventually, but once this area above for GALA is reclaimed, and you can see over here you've got this key level of previous support and this cluster of previous support as well that we could run into as resistance on these 2 points. So I would expect them to be met as resistance when we get there, but once they are cleared, okay, that's when the run to 84 cents starts. And then if we break that, you've got your sort of max euphoria to $2.64, which is from current a rough sort of 48x for GALA. And I think with the gaming narrative starting to pick up heat, I've noticed that it's been a sector that's been performing extremely well when I monitor on certain exchanges in regards to different sectors of the market. I think this could really start to kick into gear, and they look very, very promising. But nothing that I say is financial advice, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the content. From Chart Nerd TA, take care. Peace out.